everybody. Welcome to this episode of Talking Heartland. This is the show where we go back and look at the previous seasons of Heartland, and we are now in season 4, and we're season 4, 5. We're doing episodes 4, 5, and 6 tonight, and I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
Yes, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Getting by.
That's good. That's what we can expect right now. Things are kind of crazy. But it's nice to in a lot of ways I felt like especially episode 4 kind of felt almost more like a season finale than an
Yeah.
episode 4.
Actually, yeah, I was like, is this a mid-season finale? And I was like, no, it's episode 4. Of course, it's not
Uh,
a
yeah,
mid-season
it's
finale.
weird.
But yeah, that's how it felt.
Yeah, just because I mean graduation and things ending, and I mean it just feels kind of final.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. Well, this episode's called Graduation. And basically, in this episode, you have Amy graduating from high school, and she is struggling because she got a full scholarship into a equestrian program in Colorado State University, and she can't decide whether she wants to go or not or stay at the ranch. You also have Badger coming back, and he's going to be working on the ranch, and that's not fun for Mallory. It's a challenge. And then you also have Ashley and Caleb. The big question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And Val trying to encourage Ashley to go to school. And then you have a little bit of a love triangle between Badger, Jake, and Mallory. And I think, and then Chase starts to flirt with Soraya. And Soraya is the valedictorian of the school. So those are all sort of things going on with the family and everything this season. You also have Lisa and Lou kind of trying to figure out what they want to do as far as the Dude Ranch, and Tim being kind of a, a jerk about it, wanting to get more money out of Lisa, so that's caused conflict. So lots of stuff going on in this episode. Overall, what do you think about this episode?
I really liked this episode. It was a really strong episode. But there was so much happening in it.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like we were kind of jumping around all over the place. Like so many notes for this episode, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I really did as well. I think the next episode I loved. I thought was great. This episode was good. It was a kind of a building episode where they got a lot of character development
uh
between between the characters. And sometimes you need those sort of nuts and bolts episodes on a show where you just do a lot of plot.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Cover a lot of ground. So that's what this one was. Um, so what did you think about Amy and her sort of debate about going to college?
I was a little confused, because it just seemed like such a fantastic opportunity for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, until the kind of end where she kind of explained that, she's still kind of not ready to take this next step, without her mum, and that all kind of made sense, and I could kind of understand why she's not quite ready. Um, and her and Lou are so different, and I just felt like every time Lou was kind of pushing it, I was like, oh God, it's not going to end well. And especially if this kind of opportunities can be on hold for a year, if she can sort of pick it back up in a year's time, then
Yeah.
why not, wait and kind of see where she's at and more comfortable. There's nothing worse than trying to make a move like that when you're not ready.
Yeah, and I feel like I've changed so much in sort of my overall feel about college. I mean, because I loved going to college. I loved the whole experience. It was a great thing for me. But I have to, even though I loved it, I don't think it was very essential as far as really my learning or my or certainly my career, that's for sure. Almost everything I've learned as far as my career, I've learned on the job through trainers and things like that. And uh, I don't know, like it was a great experience, but I don't think that it's an experience that I feel like I could have the same life experiences and learning and change through other ways, right? And I don't know, I'm just not as it's not as essential to me. Like in the past, I would have said I must do anything to go to college, but now I'm more the if I'm more of the opinion of if it works out, that's great, and you can have a great experience. But if it doesn't, no big deal.
Yeah,
Is
I agree.
my perspective now.
Mhm.
And so she needs to take a year off. I think that's fine. I mean, she really doesn't need to go to college because she has a career basically with training these horses. So it's not like
She already has like a 3
yeah,
full-time jobs at this point.
yeah, exactly. And so she doesn't need to. If she wants to, that's fine.
Mhm,
But yeah, I mean the scholarship that does I can see where Lou was coming from too, where it's like this is an incredible opportunity.
mhm. And yeah, she needs to remember that Lou wanted away from Heartland. You know,
Right.
he doesn't. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very different that way. And so then uh you have Mallory. She invites Jake to Soraya's party. She's
Mhm.
getting more interested in Jake, and there Jake has started to become friends with Jamie. I think that's more in the next episode, but yeah, there's all kinds of jealousy going on with Jake and Mallory, and then Jake once Badger comes.
Mhm. Yeah, I love this.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is like the most fun kind of love. I don't know. It's more like a square than a triangle.
Yeah.
Um, they're way more fun than the adults.
Yeah, agreed.
Feel like Badger and Jake are kind of more on a um, they're more even this time around.
Mhm.
Mallory was kind of all about Badger, and Jake was kind of kind of pushed to the side. I feel like they're more on the same level this time around. I
Yeah.
feel like Mallory's kind of more torn, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I really like it, and, uh, I like Jake. He's fun.
Yeah, he's so fun.
Yeah, he's good.
Selfishly.
Yeah, and so then we have Tim. He offers Lisa a high price for the Dude Ranch, and he's just being a butt, let's be honest here. He's being
That's Tim for you, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, come on. Like she's obviously just trying to help them out, and then he's upset because the he's upset with her because he sees her as he's like competitive with Lisa, and I don't know, he's just being ridiculous.
And considering he's the one that let the dude ranch kind of fall into disarray, like
Yeah,
he's really not got a leg to stand on, in my opinion.
right, I agree. And so then you have Chase Powers flirting with Soraya,
Mhm.
and so that's awkward. But I guess I don't really understand what it was that Chase did that was so bad. Like in they she even admitted Amy admitted that they both kissed each other. So it wasn't like he took advantage of her or he's like a bad guy. I mean,
Yeah, I think
both
that it's more that she never told Soraya that. Um, and I don't really understand either what it changes.
mhm.
I feel like if you give Soraya all of the information, if you tell her that as well, it's down to Soraya if she wants to take it further or not. Um, but yeah, I don't really understand the big deal of like Amy doesn't like him. That doesn't mean that Soraya isn't going to like him. She can
Yeah,
make up
because
her own mind.
Amy's like, I've got to warn Saray. And I'm like, warn what? You both
Yeah, that
kissed
you
each
don't like him.
other. What? Like he hasn't done anything wrong except for being maybe a little bit cocky.
Yeah.
Uh, so I thought that was strange. And so Mallory gets mad at Badger because he didn't talk to her after they had their kiss. She's upset, and so there's a lot of back and forth between between Mallory, like we said, Jake and Badger. You also have Val saying to Ashley, "Where are you going to be in 5 years? Do you plan to be a trailer trash baby maker?" Which is pretty harsh.
Yeah. I wrote that down. I was like, oh my
uh,
god.
and gives her the little pamphlet about college. And I guess this we have to remember that this was kind of uh, before. When was this aired? This was um, 2010.
Hmm.
So it's not before, but I feel like now they certainly had. I mean, I had gone to online school then, but I don't know. I feel like it's way more sort of accepted and normal than even it was then. It was still even because when I did it, because I did a half and half program for my master's, half online, half on campus, and I feel like that was still kind of unusual. And now it was 2008 when I did it, um, and now it's just totally normal. I think.
Last season Ty did it as well, didn't he? He finished school online.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. So, and I don't understand why Ashley had. I mean, I guess just because she's working full time. Is that why
Hmm.
she had to drop out of school?
Yeah, I think so. I think she just needs money. And
Uh,
yeah, I don't understand why she can't go part time and and
yeah, or get the
finish.
GED.
Yeah, but yeah, this just seems like a recipe for disaster. um, they clearly don't have, the same opinions of the future and what that looks like.
Yeah, Caleb says, "Well, next 5 years she'd want to start on babies," and she just kind of freaks out about that. And Val says to her, "If he really loves you, he will support you," which,
Hmm.
to his credit, he does at the end give her the stuff for the GED and all the stuff from Ty, so that she can work on that. She gets pretty slammed at the party, pretty sloshed over, and so. What do you think of Ashley and Caleb? Do you like their marriage or not so much?
It honestly just feels like it's going to end up in a disaster.
Mm.
There's nothing about it that kind of they just seem on such the wrong pages with each other. Um, so yeah, and I didn't really feel the chemistry between them
Uh-huh.
initially, so that kind of affects my opinion of them in this marriage. And like I said, like back in last season when they got married, I just never thought it would get to this point. I thought it would get annulled, they'd forget, like just put it down to being crazy kids, and we'd
Yeah,
move on. I didn't
right.
expect it'd kind of go this far with it, but yeah, it just doesn't seem set up to last, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a shame. I like both of them individually. It's the same with Peter and Lou. I like them individually. I just, um, yeah, I'm just not invested in where they're kind of going.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting relationship because you don't typically have characters that start such young marriages like that in shows. Usually they're just dating and things, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I don't think they have the best chemistry,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
mean,
The last one, I think it was on One Tree Hill. They kind of did the same at the end of the first season. Two of the teenagers got married, but it was kind of set up as this like epic love story, whereas this just feels a little bit different.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm
So
kind of interested to see where it goes. I'll give them that.
so Badger doesn't give Spartan enough water, and so then the horse ends up getting colicked, and he needs surgery, and so it's kind of a mess. And I don't think they necessarily scolded Badger the way that I thought they were going to. I thought Jack was really going to be upset,
Yeah,
but they didn't
yeah.
really.
No,
Just kind of feels
Amy
bad.
was actually kind of good with him. She kind of blamed herself a little bit of not kind of because she did mention at the beginning of the episode that Spartan was a little bit off.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe it started before the water, but the water certainly made it a lot worse.
Yeah. So Lou and Lisa decide to become equal partners on the Dude Ranch, and so that way Lou can still be involved.
Mm.
And I forget if I think it was Jack who says, "I don't imagine that ending well." So we'll see what happens. But then we also have Amy is staying with the horse until she decides to go to graduation. She comes in to the graduation on Ty's motorcycle. So to get her diploma is pretty exciting.
An epic entrance.
Yeah, we are all feeling nostalgic for graduations these days, or any kind of group event, right? You see it
Seriously.
and you're like, "Oh, that was so nice." But yeah, I think this is a pretty decent episode. I'd give it like a 7, I think.
hmm
7.5 maybe.
Yeah, I went 8.5. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Um, I like it
Um
when there's kind of a lot happening, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. So I give 7.5. So then our next episode is Where the Truth Lies. This is season 4, episode 5. And we have a scared horse named Avery that Scott brings to Amy to work with. And then you have this woman named Sarah Craven, who's kind of the town hermit. She's a crazy Craven. and and then you have this whole sequence which I just thought worked so well with Mallory and Badger falling through a well, and uh and that whole plot we'll talk about. And then you also have Lou and Peter talking a lot more about their relationship, and also Peter deciding to hire Soraya to help with the ranch. So overall, what do you think about this episode?
Yeah, this is one of the strongest episodes we've gotten so far this
Hmm.
season.
Yeah,
I feel like all of season 3 was really, really good. Like I think there was maybe one episode, maybe two that I was kind of lukewarm on, but I feel like season 4 is kind of pushing it as well. Like it just keeps going up for me.
yeah, yeah.
And certainly this was one of the best we've gotten so far, kind of throughout the 4 seasons.
Yeah. That's what I said. I messaged you after I watched it. I said this is one of the best episodes that we have reviewed, in my opinion. I thought the falling through the well was very effective, and when it happened, I literally gasped. Like it really surprised me. I thought it was very well done, and then when they found the skull, that was very well done. That was very shocking, I thought, and then all the other plot lines I thought really worked in this episode. And
Kind of rarely do these kind of side plots with like a guest star coming in that don't
characters.
involve kind of like horses 100%. This was kind of dealing with her horse and this other thing.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's kind of cringy, but I felt like this one was handled really well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was really good.
I thought they were all really good, all the plot lines, because Peter comes back, and so then there's sort of this building conflict between Peter and Lou. You have things working out between Lou and Lisa. How are they going to run this ranch together? All of that stuff was good. It really
Yeah,
was. And so, yeah, it starts out with Ty giving advice to Badger. He says, if you want to spend time with a horse crazy girl, you'll learn to love your trail rides. Trust me. That was very good. Good advice for Ty. And then you have this horse Avery that is scared. And so Amy's working with Avery to try, and it turns out he likes the donkey. He likes Sarah Craven's donkey. Is the one that gets him. And what do you think of Lisa with all those post-it notes all over the ranch?
it's yeah, just like standard Lisa. Um, she wants to modernize everything, and yeah,
Yeah, probably not the best way to go about it with all the post-it notes. I would probably just like have a meeting where you have your
yeah,
list of
yeah,
ideas.
yeah. It's a bit aggressive even for
Uh And I think it was Jack who says, "You put your foot down with Lou, she's likely to stomp on your toes." And that was
Yeah.
pretty. That was good. That was very good. And and so then you have uh the they find the donkey loose, and you find out that Sarah that she had lost her husband, that he had just not come home and back, and so she was devastated. And so then later on we get the reveal that the skull in the well is because it has his wedding ring. And it turns out he obviously he she thought he abandoned her, but he didn't. He just fell down the well, which is really sad. That's pretty dark for Heartland.
Yeah, very. It was such a tragic story.
Yeah.
And the fact that we found out before she did
Right.
was sad. Um, yeah, and that actress, I'm kind of familiar with her, but I don't actually remember her from anything.
Uh-huh.
That's weird. Yeah, it was really, really good. Really handled really well.
Mhm.
And I thought Mallory did a fantastic job as well. Um, like the
Yeah.
acting, they
Yeah.
really, really sold it. And I love Badger's line of like, "Lassie will come and save us."
Yeah, like that was so well done. Like I said,
Yeah,
when they fell through, I it really surprised me. And I don't know, I loved that whole plot. It was very good. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. They're the good folks over at the Bundle Game and Hardy's Ass Bundle Listen from the creators of the Countdown to Christmas Hallmark Channel board game. There's now an official When Calls the Heart board game. Test your When Calls the Heart knowledge, recall your favorite show moments, and celebrate season 8.
This game is so much fun. Like the name 4 card, name your 4 favorite episodes of When Calls a Heart.
Not sure if I could narrow it down to just 4.
Or this acted out card, Love Triangle.
That's a fun one.
You can have these and many other cards in this fun game, When Calls the Heart board game. You can get your game at www.thebundlegame.com. Enter code Hallmarkies Podcast for free shipping. That's both words, Hallmarkies Podcast, free shipping. It's really fun. All kinds of trivia and fun stuff about your favorite show. So make sure to check out the When Calls the Heart board game at the www.thebundlegame.com, enter code Hallmarkies Podcast for free shipping. Sarah worried also about her horse, Falcon, that he evidently has Cushing's disease. And so they're very, worried about that. There's an herb that they're going to try with Falcon. And she says that, oh, well, the Miriam could have figured it out, but you aren't, basically your mother would have known what to do, which is pretty harsh.
yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Especially considering that she's a child, at least she's a
Yeah.
teenager. I mean, so.
Kind of harsh, but you kind of understood it towards the end when you find out that Falcon was actually her husband's horse, and he was kind of the last thing that she had
Yeah.
of his. But yeah, it was still a really low blow for a 18-year-old.
Yes. And so, I mean, she's obviously still learning and, growing, and she doesn't have anybody to train her because her mom's gone. And so she just has to learn on her own. And so that's pretty harsh. And then you have the rivalry between Mallory and Jamie. Jamie is pretty interested in Jake, and she teaches Badger to ride because she wants Jake to herself, which makes Mallory very jealous. And so you also have Sarah that's actually sleeping outside with the horse, with her horse. And like I said, we have a dynamic between Lou and Peter. And Jack says to Peter, "I'm counting on you to make it right."
I can't bear this. It's really, it's driving me crazy. Peter and Lou thing. I've just
Yeah.
written down this whole thing is nonsense. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just going in circles.
Right.
She
It
doesn't
just,
want to go, and I wish she would just say that.
yeah. Well, and she finally does admit it in the next episode, but
Yeah, finally, yeah.
but I don't know. It's just, it's kind of like they started out with them not having the most chemistry, so I think that makes it hard to sort of be super invested in this long distance relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
And Lou and Scott in the previous episode had so much chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of highlights, and especially maybe the chemistry could build if Peter was around more, but the fact that he kind of leaves for episodes at a time, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I just don't understand this whole Dubai thing.
Right. And then Soraya tells them basically like, leave the ranch as it is. People don't want it to be all fancy with a spa and all of that. And so then Lou ends up hiring Soraya. Then they decide to give Avery to Sarah because it's such a friends with the donkey. So that's kind of how it ends. But yeah, I really like this episode. I'm going to give it a very high score. I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I went with 9 as well.
Mm-hmm. It was really good. All right. Last episode is called Wind, Place, or Snow. And this episode, you have Amy becoming an exercise rider for the racehorses at the stable. And you have some rivalry or fighting between Janice and Tim because Janice decides to ride another person's horse, Dan's horse, and that makes Tim very jealous. And from her perspective, from Janice's perspective, she's like, I need to ride as many different horses as possible as part of my career. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know nothing about this, but it makes sense to me. But he's being ridiculous. You also have Badger. He buys a car, and this lemon car, but it turns out it's stolen. And so there's this back and forth, back and forth. At one point, they go and leave it in town, hoping the police will just find it. But then Jack has it towed, and Jack's upset with them because he's grounded them. And you have lots going on in this one between Peter and Lou. Peter gives Lou a bracelet, and they kind of talk it out. And so that's basically, you also have you have Caleb getting a credit card so he can get Ashley a fancier ring. I don't know. What do you think of this episode overall?
Yeah, this was an okay episode for me.
Mm-hmm.
Tim's shenanigans kind of brought it down a little bit for me. He was just ridiculous in this episode. I'm so sick of him asking Amy to do things and then sort of criticizing her the entire time. It's like she's doing you a favor. Like,
right. Well, and she gets third place, which is pretty good for your first race, and he's still being a butt about it, which is frustrating.
Janice, who's like really experienced, kind of says to Amy, like, there's no chance that you're going to win, but she's still really supportive. She's still helping. She's just saying that the reality is you can't just jump into this and win right away. It's a skill that you kind of have to train at. And she still does really well. And it's not good enough for him.
Well, in Amy, I feel like every episode she's like a different kind of horse job, like she's a exercise rider one episode, and then she's jumping one episode, and then she's training them, then she's like kind of a therapy person. Like, she can't be expected to do everything with horses.
Exactly.
She's doing the whole thing with Chase.
She's doing so many things. The fact that she kind of comes in and does really well in them, that could be, that should be commended.
Yeah, definitely. And so that was the the bad part about this episode was the whole Tim. I mean, he should recognize that, of course, all the jockeys take different horses and ride different horses, and he's just being very possessive about somebody that he's barely dating.
Yeah, and the fact that he's dating his jockey as well, I mean, that's a conflict of interest as well. They
Right.
should really kind of, if that's the way they're going to go, then it should be a separate thing, and it seems to be that way for Janice. But yeah, he kind of had this weird ownership of her, which I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't really like.
Yeah. What do you think of Badger getting this lemon car?
Yeah, this whole thing was so funny. It was just like kind of little shenanigans kind of all through the episode. I kind of love when, Jack's so frustrated with them, but you can't get too mad at them. Yeah, it was really good. And Ty just kind of helping Badger as well. I don't think Ty was this delinquent when he first came on the show, but he certainly has like a bond with Badger, which is nice to see.
Yeah. I mean, and in fairness, he did pay his actual money. Like, he didn't know that it was stolen.
He didn't steal it, he just didn't know that it was a stolen car he was buying.
Yeah. And so, which, I mean, that he was swindled just like anybody else. So I think maybe they were a little tough on him with this, but Jack basically grounds them to the ranch. He's very upset.
Yeah.
With both Badger and Mallory, he's upset. And you also
I'd be
have
more upset about his driving than anything else.
I know. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna buy a lemon, like, at least get one that can run a little bit. Boy,
Yeah.
thing just is puttering along. But I'm surprised it doesn't scare the horses, that car.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, then you also have Janice training Amy. So
Yeah, I like
they
this.
yeah, they go through a boot camp kind of experience. And so that's pretty good. And you have Ashley, and the thing is she seems perfectly happy with her ring. She says, it turns my finger green, but I know he loves me. But then Caleb is insecure, and so he gets a ring on the credit card, which is going to come back to bite them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't spend money you don't have.
Yeah, that's right. And so they have the race, and Ty, it was really cute. He says, to be a winner, you don't have to cross the finish line first, which is very cute. And she doesn't. She gets third place, and Tim is being ridiculous and rude. And it turns out the tendons are sore in the horse. And so because he rode it too hard, or shouldn't have ridden it in the race. And so yeah, he's just being very selfish.
Yeah,
To the horse.
yeah, very. Yeah.
And
he was the one that asked Amy to train it every day as well. So if it's got tendonitis, he is the owner at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then there's a whole scene with Lou and Peter, and she says, my home is wherever you are, even in Dubai. So,
yeah, but it was interesting that he kind of admits that he doesn't like Dubai either.
Right.
I'm like, well, why? He's both living. I mean, I understand that he's probably done it as a business decision, but
it does seem like in 2010, it seems like you could easily deal with anything that you need to through through the internet and through the phones. I don't know. Does he really need to be in Dubai? I mean, because he can still travel there quite a bit. I don't know if maybe
I thought maybe this actor was on a different show or something at the time, and they couldn't have him for so long.
Oh,
that's kind of what it feels like. I don't know if that's accurate, or maybe they only had him for so many episodes per season. But I'm just not 100% backing this whole.
Yeah. I don't know. They just don't have that great a chemistry, so you're not really rooting for it that much. But And then you have Jake getting learner's permit. So that's very exciting. And Jack takes him out. I thought that was funny. That was cute. That was
Yeah,
cute.
Jack's like the surrogate granddad to everybody in the town, apparently.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this episode, I would give it like, I'll give it like a 7 again.
Yeah,
was
I went with
fine.
7. Yeah, I went with 7.5.
Yeah.
I'd say that the kind of Tim stuff kind of really brought it down for me.
Mhm. Yeah,
But yeah,
I'll agree with you. 7.5. I think that's good. And so there we go. That is our episodes for this week. Let us know if you've seen these episodes, what you think of them. What rating would you give them? And we're excited to dive in next week into more of season 4. And so, Michelle, where can people find you?
on Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And also make sure you're following the Hallmarkies Podcast on Hallmarkies Pod, the Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so which has Heartland inspired merch on there. So please check that out. And thanks so much. And yeah, we'll talk to y'all next week. Bye, everyone.
Fun.